What's going on YouTube? Legend here once again, this time at your game with some more Genshin Impact. And I want to talk a little bit about what's coming to us in 4.4, and that's Xianyun. Xianyun, the Cloud Retainer, is coming, and am I excited for her? Not really. I'm gonna be real with you, not really.
But I love it when people play hard to get.
But that's okay, because a lot of you guys are. And I'm here to try and give you some good news and tell you guys what kind of teams you can use her on. So, without further ado, let's get into it here. So, to first start off and explain what she does do. As we saw on the live stream and what maybe who've done further research have seen, is that she is a Nemo healer, right? So she's a Nemo healer that also enables your on-field character to be able to jump high enough to do plunge attacks, which is great, which is phenomenal. And then she enhances said plunge attacks. Beautiful, that's great. It's a very cool gimmick that she does, very original. And it's going to be able to switch up a lot of playstyles that you do with certain DPSs. For some DPSs, it could become their new optimal playstyle, which is great. I mean, the reason why I'm not that excited for that, because for me and the teams that I use, she's not going to help out too much, but that's for me specifically, right? I like to use Hu Tao, and she'll be able to help Hu Tao, but outside of that, she doesn't help out too much. But that's okay. Now, when I go over these teams that she does do, she can basically do any team where you use Jean in there, because she's a team healer, and she does a continuous team healing. So where teams you have Jean on, you can use her on. But the teams I'm going to go over are teams where it is better to use her over Jean. Okay, so let's get into this. Now, this is the first team that I want to talk about right here, the Diluc team. Now, one thing, so Jean right here is supposed to represent Xianyun, so keep that in mind. Now, before I talk about Diluc, one thing I want to talk about that you're going to notice in a lot of these teams is that Furina's going to be on a lot of these teams, because there are all characters that Xianyun goes with well, is going to be Furina. Furina and Xianyun are going to be a mean tag team, because Furina's going to be constantly taking away HP, and Xianyun is going to be able to give that HP back, right? Because she's doing team healing and she's doing continuous team healing, which is phenomenal for Furina. So those two are going to be a great match made in heaven. If you're thinking about like, oh, do I have what it takes to get Xianyun? Well, if you have Furina, then her value does skyrocket. The thing about Diluc is that Diluc has very high damage multipliers when it comes to his plunge attacks. Kind of blocking a little bit, but if we see here, I don't have his normal attacks max or anything like that, but if you see here, if you look at his plunge damage, the percentages are really high, especially if you have it maxed out. It's very high percentage. I believe it goes up to around 440% or so when it's maxed out. It's huge. I think it might be the biggest in the game. That's why people always used to do those Dragon Strike combos with him and stuff like that. Now you don't have to do those Dragon Strikes. You can do your E's, you can do your plunges, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be a pretty large upgrade when it comes to Diluc. I think he's going to be the biggest winner when it comes to this. And then this team, you do see Yelan here, but you can use Xingqiu, of course. But I do like Yelan better because you have double Hydro, so you have enough Hydro, and she's going to be able to buff both Furina and Yelan are going to be able to buff Diluc, so to get his damage really up there. But yeah, so that's good right there. And then Xianyun is going to be using VV, so she's allowing the Hydro to hit even harder, and yeah, allowing Diluc to plunge. So that's going to be fantastic. Next team I want to talk about is Hu Tao. Now, this team is almost exactly like the Diluc team, except you switch Hu Tao in there, right? So you got Yelan, Xianyun, Furina, okay? Now, for those of you who've been out of the loop a little bit, you might think, oh, why would I want to heal up Hu Tao? She wants her HP low. Well, the simple fact that Furina gets so much buffs, that ends up overpowering the benefit that she gets by being under 50 HP. So now healing Hu Tao doesn't matter anymore, okay? You can heal Hu Tao, and she's going to be able to do more damage anyway, okay? But now, when it comes to Xianyun being on the team, why you want to use her over Jean is because now Hu Tao can plunge. It's the same idea when it comes to Diluc. She has high multipliers when it comes to her plunges. You see, it's not as high as Diluc's, but it is up there, because if you look at her charge attacks is 242% right here. This is crowned. But then her high plunge is 219% plus the plunge damage that you see right there. Now that plunge damage isn't going to vapor or anything like that, but this plunge damage will, or this plunge damage, whichever one you do. But I do believe she allows you to do high plunges. So, and even if she lets you do low plunges, that's good. That is still good. But and also because the fact of the matter is she does boost plunge attacks, right? She does buff plunge attacks. So if you're vaping, these plunge attacks are probably going to be hitting harder than your charge attacks, which is beautiful, phenomenal. Another way to get Hu Tao to hit even harder. Why not? Okay? And that's the reason why, even though I said that I'm not that excited for her, that's why I'm still getting her, because any plus for Hu Tao is a plus for me. But the thing about Hu Tao that I want to say, what makes it a little bittersweet, is the fact that when you have Hu Tao in this type of setup, you're doing your jump cancel instead of your dash cancel, right? Which is the whole point of her C1. So the people who are free to play who have C0 Hu Tao rejoice, because now Hu Tao doesn't need her C1 anymore, right? Because she's going to be doing charge attack, plunge, charge attack, plunge. But if people who do, well, now your constellations aren't doing too much. I have a C6 Hu Tao, and I'm telling you right now, a lot of my constellations aren't too useful anymore. C1, not useful, and C6, I'm never going to be able to use it. That's a bummer, right? I mean, I'm still getting C4 where I'm getting the crit rate to the team, and I'm still getting the extra damage for her debuff when it comes to her C2. But otherwise, constellations they're kind of dead in the water a little bit. So what can you do? Bittersweet. And now we got this team here. Now I don't have Xiao, so Hazo is Xiao in this situation. All right. I mean, sure, you can probably use Hazo too, but that's not who I'm mentioning. We're talking about Xiao. And Xiao is kind of an obvious pick right here because she buffs plunge damage. And guess who does plunge damage? Xiao. All the time. This is obviously going to be a wonderful pick. And the fact that she heals so much, it helps out Xiao's constant HP reduction. And on top of Farina's HP reduction. So Xiao's still going to be nice and healthy. He's going to be able to do his thing. Then you obviously have Farwazon on here. Who's going to be able to buff all that damage. And the fact that Farina is able to do her Hydra application, her hits, without having to do any auto attacks like Xingqiu or Yelan, then Zhao's still improving even more. So this is going to be Zhao's best team, I'm pretty sure. I think that people who have named so far, it probably is going to be their new best team now. So that's going to be fantastic. When you have a character that comes out that gives characters their best team, then you know that they're a good pick, right? At least for your account. Zhao's going to be another one that you to look at. Now here's what I want to explain a little bit right here, right? So you have Raiden, Yai Miko, right? Or Fischl, or even Sarah, Xianyun, and Farina. Now, here's one thing I want to explain with this. Raiden, when she's bursting, she can do plunge attacks. But they do not count as plunge damage. They count as elemental burst damage, okay? So Xianyun is not going to be buffing Raiden's plunge. But Raiden's still going to be able to plunge. If we look at Raiden's multipliers right here, you can see that her plunge damage and her charge attack damage isn't too far off here. It's really not too far off. It's actually, her plunge damage actually is higher, or her high plunge damage is higher than what her charge attacks will be able to do. So, you'll be able to weave in plunges within her charge attacks. Raiden's probably going to have a new, when Xianyun's on the team, Raiden's probably going to have a new best combo to use to get the most damage during her burst window. So, putting her with Xianyun is actually still going to be a good idea. At least that's what I think. And we're going to have to test it, of course. We're going to have to test it when she comes out, see how it goes. But based on just, we're looking at it, even though she's not getting buffed by Xianyun, I do think this is going to be a plus. So that's another winner right here. Having Xianyun in a team with Raiden does appear to be a plus, at least from my mindset, from what I can see. Now here's the first team that I'm showing that doesn't have Farina on there. I mean, granted, you can use Farina if you want, but I do like the idea of having, a double Electro on here. What I like about this, with Xianyun being with Yai, is that Yai can now on-field pretty well. Because the thing is, Normally when you on-field Yai, it's kind of clunky, okay? Because Yai's autos don't do too much. And her charge attacks take forever to come out. But now, Yai can plunge, okay? So now you can auto with Yai, you can maybe even charge attack with Yai, and then do a jump cancel and be able to plunge on the enemy. It opens up a whole new playstyle for Yai, so now you can use her on field. So she's doing aggravates with Nahida, and she's plunging away, and then you have Fischl out there doing all kinds of reactions, going sick too, battering Yai up, so you can get those nukes down with Yai too. So I think this is going to be a very fun team comp, and I think a lot of people are going to like it because, of course, again, those plunge multipliers you get access to, which is fantastic. You love to see it. Now, here's one I don't see anybody talking about, which I think is going to be a huge upgrade, okay? And that is a nice, good old Mono Pyro Klee team. Klee is somebody who was clunky because her optimal play is to use jump cancels and charge attacks. Well, guess what you can do with those jump cancels now? Plunge. So Klee is not going to be able to do, she's going to be able to auto, she's going to be able to use her charge attack, she's going to be able to jump out of charge attack and plunge down on the enemy. Beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Sometimes her charge attack can blow enemies away for smaller enemies, but the bigger enemies are going to be right there, and she's going to be able to, boom, charge right down on them. And the thing is, when you jump up, Xiangling's Pyronado is still going to be going, still going to be hitting the enemy. It's going to be a beautiful thing. You got Xianyun doing the VV, so she's going to be buffing up, and you got Bennett just batterying up the team and buffing the team. It's great. And of course, you can put Furina in place of Xiangling if you want. Just don't expect her to be causing the teammates to vape too much. It's probably going to end up being Furina the one vaping, but you can do that too. But I do think this is going to bet. The thing is, though, Furina has a lot of pull when it comes to what teams want her. So Xiangling sometimes might even end up being a better pick in these situations. So that's another one right there. Last team I actually want to talk about is going to be, no, not Xianyun. I mean, you could probably use Xianyun, but I don't have Risley. So Xianyun is Risley in this situation, okay? Now, with Risley, that's going to be able to be good too, because he can get his uppercuts and his plunges down in one combo. And that's going to be fantastic. So you can use Furina, which is going to be obviously for obvious reasons. And you're going to be able to use, I'd probably use another cryo unit to work as a battery and get the cryo resonance and do kind of a freeze team situation going on when it comes to that. That's what I would pick in this situation. So I have Shenhe in here because I have Shenhe. But if you want to use someone else, or maybe Rosaria or something like that, then you can go ahead and do that, whatever type of team that you do when it comes to Risley. Or you can kind of switch up the team altogether, maybe still do maybe somewhat of a virgin team or whatever you want to do, or a melt team, whatever you want to do when it comes to that. But the main thing is having Risley be able to plunge damage is going to be a very good thing when it comes for him right there. So I do think that he's also going to be a very good pick when it comes to a team with Xianyun. Now, I have Xianyun in here in place for Risley, but also one thing I want to point out too is that in general, Xianyun himself could be good too, right? Because the fact of the matter is, when it comes to Claymore users, they're going to benefit being able to plunge. So I'm not saying all Claymore users, right? Because some Claymore users, you probably play with them in different ways. Like for example, someone like Eula probably isn't going to want to be doing plunges because she wants specific combos when it comes to getting her stacks up. But you can do it. You can do it. It is something that you can do because she's probably going to do a lot of damage with those physical hits. But when it comes to Claymore users, you can go ahead and you can get that in there. One thing I say I would want to avoid when it comes to Xianyun is archers. Archers plunges are horrible. They don't have the element attached to it, and they don't do a lot of damage when it comes to doing their plunges. So doing archers, Jean is going to beat out Xianyun all the time, because especially if you have C2 Jean and she increases attack speed, you want to keep Jean in those teams, right? So don't put Xianyun on archers and think that's gonna work out well. Granted, if you don't have Jean C2, you can still use Xianyun in those situations because you don't have to plunge with her. It's just that it's something that she helps out a lot. you don't have to always be doing plunges in order for her to be good on the team, because she is a healer and she is a VV user. So in those situations before Gina C2, they're essentially doing the same thing. Keep that in mind. And then also watch out for characters like Child, who can't plunge, things like that. But on the other hand, I mean, there is a good amount of teams that she can work on. It's just that the thing is, though, for some of these teams, I mean, I feel like she works on too many teams for it to be called niche, but it kind of is a niche because it's a specific play style that you don't have to do, but you can do, all right? And I think that makes her a very fun character, but not necessarily a necessary character, which is why I said, I'm not that excited about it, because I don't have to do these plunges. I don't need to do these plunges to squeeze out the extra bit of damage. The original playstyle of these characters does just fine, okay? I mean, I feel that when it comes to a character like Xiao, that's when it's like, okay, you know, I do want to squeeze out the extra bit of damage, and it makes perfect sense for me to put her with there. But like when it comes to Hu Tao, yeah, it's fun, but like I don't have to do that. I don't have to do the plunges, you know? When it comes to all these characters, I don't have to do the plunges. So it's up to you. Does this plunge play style seem fun to you? Do you have a lot of teams that are going to benefit from Xianyun? And if so, go ahead. But if not, and you don't have Nahida, guys, I'm telling you right now, Nahida is one of the top 3 best characters in the game, okay? But that is up for you to decide, all right? And not up to me, all right? All I can do is show you the facts, show you my opinion, and you decide on your own, okay? So let me know what you guys want to do. What are you guys doing when 4.4 comes rolling around? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like on the video if you like the content that I am giving you. Subscribe to the channel so you can get more content like this. With Under here, let you know.